Hi everyone, I wanted to create a short video showing how I create histograms from a data set in Excel. Now there's a lot of different ways to do this, as there are many different ways to do most things in Excel. But I'll show you the way that I do it, and hopefully that will help give you an example for the homework. So let's look in Excel, and what we have here is a listing of all of the trees in my particular neighborhood. We did an inventory last year, so this is all of the trees in my neighborhood here in Louisville. And what I'm interested in is the distribution of the diameter of the trees, of how big the trees are. I want to know how big most of the trees are in my neighborhood. So just looking at our data, the first thing we always do is just look at and examine our data and see what we're working with. I see I have hundreds of rows here, and I see diameters of trees that go everywhere from 1 up to the 40s, and I see a lot of blank rows, so that's okay. But the first thing I want to know is what's the minimum diameter for a tree that we've measured and the maximum that we've measured. And that's easy to do in Excel. In here I'll do equals minimum. I'll open this up, tell it I want this column, and it tells me the minimum is 0.5 and the maximum I use equals max. Click on that column. So we go from 0.5, a very small tree, to 60, a 60-inch diameter tree. So now we know how large those are. So I have to decide how I want to break up my histogram and how I want the bins to be. So I think I'll work in 5 inches. So I'll do 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. And Excel will get the hint, and I can grab this and drag it down. I'll go to 65 because I know my maximum is 60. And I'll put a header up here. Call it diameter. And I can bold and underline that. Now, here's the trick for getting our frequency in here. I can bold and underline that. Now that I've looked at my data, I know the minimum and maximum, and I've got my data bins, B-I-N-S, set up. I want the frequency in these cells here. So what I'm going to do is I highlight all of these cells, not just one. I highlight all of these cells, and in my bar here, I type the formula equals frequency, and I open up my parentheses, and you see here that Excel wants a data array and then bins array. So the data array is going to be this column H, and I put a comma in, and then my bins array are these diameter bins that I set up here, and I can close my parentheses. Now this is where you often screw up the frequency count for the histogram. You don't just hit enter for this because we're working on multiple cells. You want to hold down the Control, Shift, and then hit enter keys. So because this is an array function where we're dealing with multiple cells, I hold down Control, Shift, enter, and we see that it puts our frequency in here for us, which is great. So now I can see that we have a lot of relatively small trees and very few trees with a diameter of 45 to 60 inches. So that's great. I have my diameter and frequency. I'm ready to make a histogram. So I highlight these cells for my frequency, go to Insert, and add in an ordinary bar chart. And it'll put that here. Now I can make some changes to it. I can right-click and say Select Data, and I can change my label axis to use these diameters like this. I can change my chart title. I can right-click here, go to Format Data Series, and I can completely remove the gap between all of these series, because a histogram probably shouldn't have a gap in it. So now we've done our frequency and we've created a histogram where we can easily see that, with one exception here at 20 inches, for the most part, as the trees get bigger, we have considerably fewer in our neighborhood. So that's the way that I do a frequency distribution in Excel. You can see it's not that difficult and doesn't take very long. That's one of our assignments this week. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.